What is a VTuber? A VTuber is a virtual YouTuber, a person that streams and/or uploads videos to YouTube using mostly an anime avatar, following their movements in real time. These avatars may be in 2D or 3D models. Great! Now then, using a model to replace your face when streaming is quite convenient when wanting to keep your privacy. It can be used to represent you and your interest. It's a persona. Plus, you can be anything you want. Right? Meet Miss Pom Pom. She is a VTuber who uses a dark-skinned model when streaming. One would assume she herself is a dark-skinned... Or not, I guess. Yeah, sure. This Brazilian VTuber's model has gotten people on edge, so let's talk about it. I said a VTuber is a sort of persona. The definition of a persona is as follows. The role or facade that one assumes or displays in public or society, one's public image or personality, as distinguished from the inner self. Let's get one thing straight. A persona and an OC are not the same thing. A persona is something you use to represent yourself, and an OC is an original character separate from yourself, usually meant to be in a story or just there for fun. They are not the same thing. The VTuber is based off the Pokemon Wooloo. Wooloo is a black sheep of sorts. Because of this, she gave her model dark skin. People have been arguing about whether or not this is okay. A more blunt term would be whether it's blackface or not. Let's look at the definition of blackface. Blackface. When white actors would paint their faces black to resemble black people, accompanied by a performance stereotyping them as buffoons. Something I would also like to add to this is that it doesn't have to be a white person. It can be a person of any race, nationality, ethnicity, doesn't matter. If they paint their face black and start mocking them, it's still blackface. This definition in mind, her model is not blackface. She hasn't been pretending to be black or openly mocking the black community. It's simply that her model is misleading, or a more unintentional act of blackfishing. It is similar, however, and has gotten a rise in the black community and led to debates about how ethical this model is. With that knowledge in mind, people have been defending her model, so let's see some of their claims. This creator is Brazilian. They're a POC. Their model is a very humanoid sheep avatar indicated by the sheep ears and nose, so their avatar isn't a human with a specific race. I believe the intention behind their model. Actions do speak louder than words after all. Clearly their intention with the model isn't to LARP as a black person or blackface or being racist. It is simply how they design their avatar, and again, they're Brazilian, they're a POC. Those of you calling it blackface and racist, I suggest you go back to school and do some basic research because you clearly don't know what blackface or being racist/racism is. I am a black woman that has a model with different skin tones than my IRL. Plenty of black and POC with darker skin tones like me use models with light skin tones for many reasons. They couldn't find an artist that would do their skin tone right, artists refused to do their model with a darker skin tone, so they changed their design, internet privacy/protection, because let's face it, even in the big 2026, there's still racism IRL and on the internet, or that's just how they designed it, chose for it to be designed, and there's no big reason behind it. My personal reason why my model has a different skin tone than me, my VTuber model is of an OC I had long before getting into VTubing, and I chose my OC as my avatar, but also as internet safety and protection. It's okay for black/POC with darker skin tones use model with light skin tone, but it's apparently not okay for this creator to have an avatar with a different skin color than theirs. It's an OC and an avatar they're using to interact on the internet. They're not pretending to be black. I feel a lot of creators are showing their double standards with this. This isn't okay, and shouldn't that mean any other black/POC VTubers should change their models because the ones we don't match our IRL, the ones we use don't match our IRL skin tones? A VTuber model is your avatar. It does not have to represent every single part of you IRL. If it was, my model would have my IRL skin tone and my hairstyle. There wouldn't be any VTubers with animal ears/tails, or VTubers as fictional fantasy creatures like elves, vampires, or demons. Your VTuber model can be however you want it to be. It's your intentions, and how you use your model, that's what should matter in the end. A lovely explanation for the point of view. However, I do think it's important to address some things within the text. Pom Pom herself said that she is white, so in reality, she's not a POC or a person of color. If we want to get into specifics, she's bi-POC. It may not seem like that big of a deal, but when you want to go online and start to claim that she's POC, people are going to assume anything but white. We've already seen the definition of blackface, so let's see the definition of racism. Racism is the belief that different human races have distinct traits and that makes some groups superior to others, leading to prejudice, discrimination, and systematic oppression. Opinions like specific dynamics and power structures widely vary in discussions across platforms like Reddit. Okay, I can agree that she is not racist, nor does she do blackface. So far, she hasn't really said anything claiming her race to be superior than anybody else's. Unlike her fans. Her model, however, is still an act of unintended racism. Having a black model despite being white is actively dismissing the struggles of black people all over the world go through in order to make your model more aesthetic. Again, I do think that she didn't intend for this to happen, but it's important we discuss these things and learn from them rather than dismissing it. This user also brought up a quote-unquote double standards people have in the community. The reason for this is because of the history behind blackface. Black folks have lived years with discrimination and mockery, being stereotyped as fools and brutes. Slavery and segregation are examples of the prejudice black people have faced. White people have never really had any kind of this sort of discrimination. They've always been on top, even today. So seeing a white woman parade her dark-skinned model could feel offensive and like she just spat all over our history and struggles. This also brings up her audience. I understand that Brazil's views on racism and history differ from the USA's and any other country, but it still doesn't change the fact that it's harmful. Obviously, I'm aware she has a Brazilian audience and that anyone outside of that isn't the target audience. Duh. Doesn't mean that just because we aren't the target audience, doesn't mean we aren't allowed to make our own opinions and decisions based on the history and culture, just as our audience has been doing. It also brings up the point where if you start to go on the internet and start streaming or whatever, you are opening yourself to the entire world. You just have to accept that fact. If you end up getting big and if your audience grows, there's going to be no way for you to stay in your small little community that you've had so far. You are opening yourself up to the world for all types of audiences, whether that's what you wanted or not. This is an issue that goes beyond the USA, as racism can be found in multiple corners of the world. It's not a bad thing that people are feeling iffy about it. It's only natural. I myself feel a bit uncomfortable with this as an African American. Even if it all feels like endless criticism, I do think it's important to listen to Black voices and take their advice. This also leads into the topic that doesn't really matter, the fact that Pom Pom is trans. When being confronted about this issue, she brought up the fact that she was trans and faced discrimination herself. But I'm the target this time. I may be white, but I'm still trans. In the country that kills the most trans people, I suffer prejudice, transphobic attacks, and I've never worked a CLT job in my city because I'm trans. The VTuber is my project that I made with care to create a safe community. No racism, no jokes that belittle minorities, no homophobia, etc. The proof that I succeed is that even with half the world attacking me, there are still people of all kinds supporting me, and I truly appreciate that. Now, once again, if you don't like it, just block me and bye, my content isn't for you. This has absolutely nothing to do with the topic at hand. You being trans has nothing to do with whether or not you're doing blackface. Even then, if you face such prejudice and attacks, should you not understand the problem here? In no way am I saying that you haven't faced such attack. In no way am I trying to say that you haven't faced any issues. I am truly sorry for the discrimination you face, and I admire the journey you've come on since coming out. I wish that you stay safe and with all these things threatening you. What I am trying to say is that if you face similar struggles as Black people have, wouldn't it be more understandable to listen to their constructive criticism and worries? We as minorities cannot afford to spend time arguing with each other over things that could have simply been solved if we just listened. I do think Pom Pom can learn from her peers and those outside her community. The people outside her community will have a bias, and therefore their opinions and thoughts are more valuable than what people make them out to be. I understand that the people harping on and on might be sending you death threats, transphobic comments, etc. But please understand that these voices do not represent the community in any way. Just because there are bad apples doesn't extinguish the value of a fellow minority's opinion and them trying to be respectful about it. Back to the previous statement, I get that VTubers absolutely do not have to match how you look IRL. Then we wouldn't have eye contact the entirety of Hololive. But this is an issue that goes beyond just model design or how your model looks, and we need to accept that. I've also seen people mentioning the VTuber Kenji. Now, if you don't know, Kenji is a black man using a white model. There's a very big difference in these two scenarios, however. Kenji was originally supposed to have a VTuber that had his features. The problem was that he couldn't find an artist who was willing to or knew how to do black features, so he settled for a monkey man model that we all know and love today. From my understanding, Pom Pom had a choice in everything her model has, including her dark skin. While Kenji wasn't able to get his model because of his features, Pom Pom was able to choose whether or not to do dark or light skin. Please correct me if I'm wrong. These two are completely different scenarios, and again, there's no history behind having a white persona, while there is history of having a black one. Plus, black people can't really take off their blackness. It is directly a part of them as a person. But Pom Pom as a white woman can just say she's white at the slightest inconvenience. Don't you see why this comes off as weird? I'm not saying she would. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. But the possibility is there. And that's yet another reason why this rubs people the wrong way. Let's also look at how Pom Pom herself has handled the situation. She addressed a thread made by a Twitter user discussing the drama himself. The thread mainly talks about the inspiration of her VTuber and how the only people talking about it are the ones outside of Brazil, which, yeah, that is to be expected. She's also been reposting some defenses in her name and actually dismissed the topic pretty quickly. She claims she only needs to listen to herself, her family, her boyfriend, and her audience. So overall, a less than satisfactory response. I do not blame her for trying to close this case quickly, though. Honestly, I understand that it could just feel like endless, dumb Twitter drama, so ignoring it could feel like the best option right now for your mental health. However, again, there's a reason we're having this conversation. With that out of the way, let's go and see the actual model. Let's look at Ulu and Pom Pom's model side by side. The only similarity I can really point out is their skin tone. Her eyes aren't yellow, the eye slits aren't there either. Her hair is more pink than anything, plus her horns are non-existent on her Gyaru model, while in her PJ's model, her horns are the color blue but resemble a ram's horns more than a sheep's. I'd say that it resembles a Gyaru more than a Pokemon. And before people bring up the fact that Gyaru styles often use darker skin tones or shades in their makeup, many black folks in the Gyaru community have spoken up on how even if it was fine in the 200s, it's still wrong. Hibiscus Gal is one of the people I've seen discussing these topics. Even then, there was a much better way to do this. Her skin being a solid black color or gray would have worked, but using a real-life skin tone is a bit weird. Using unnatural colors and fantasy skin tones would have been a much better choice. All in all, I do think this could have been handled better. Pom Pom says she's not going to change anything and has already dismissed the claims made towards her. I doubt I'll be able to make a difference, but I truly hope she'll learn from this experience and continue accordingly. This is not made to say Pom Pom is a bad person or racist. This is just a criticism made on mine and others' beliefs. What I'm trying to say, basically, OC or persona, who cares? Using a model with dark skin, if you are a white person, is wrong. If you've noticed in the background, I made some concepts on how I think this VTuber model could have been handled. This is not a redesign or reclaiming or whitewash of her current model. Think of it as a concept art directly inspired from her model. Even so, at the end of the day, it's Twitter. Stuff like this happens every 1 to 2 business days.